Roll for Crit is made possible thanks to the support of viewers like you and our patrons on our Patreon page.
You can become a patron for just $1 a month at patreon.com/rollforcrit.
In today's Roll for Crit review, we're taking a look at the Rose Ceremony, where in this game you'll be offering people roses and hopefully trying to build the best bouquet. But remember, every rose has its thorns.
Very, very true. It's a game fraught with romantic tension about who will or won't accept your offerings. How it works is thus. Each player will have a hand of 4 rose cards, and on each card there are a number of rose points and a number of thorn points. The rose points are good, the thorn points are bad. You're going to choose another player at the table and offer this rose to them face down, so they won't know what's on it. And if they accept it, it goes into their bouquet, which is a set of cards face up in front of them. If they refuse, it comes back to your bouquet. Same thing, you put it face up, and now that is part of your little collection of flowers. You're trying to build bouquets that have more rose points and fewer thorns. In fact, if you get 5 thorns in your bouquet, you essentially go bust, and the entire thing is worthless. You have to discard all of those cards and start all over again. But if you have at least 4 rose points and fewer than 5 thorn points, you can choose to trade that in on your turn in order to receive a certain number of victory tokens. And the first player to get 5 victory tokens wins. Of course, the more points that you have in your bouquet, the more of those tokens are going to get, but the riskier it becomes as you are in closer danger of getting more and more of those thorns to muck things up. Very, very simple game. You just keep going, offering cards to whoever you want, refusing or accepting, and it ends as soon as one player gets 5 victory points.
So that's pretty much it. It's a simple push your luck, trying to get those hearts, though we should mention, I don't think we'll ever be able to do it, but if you're able to turn in a bouquet with 10 rose points, you automatically win, because it's just, how did you even do that?
How did you do that? What is there? I think the biggest rose point number on a card is 5, maybe?
4
is
or
there
5,
a 5?
yeah.
Yeah, so,
But
and if you have that
thorns
face
too,
up.
so.
Right. The thorns are a problem. And a big part of this game is looking around and seeing what other people have, because that's really what's going to determine, that person has 4 thorns. So I'm going to offer them a card with thorns on it and hope that they accept it. But if they reject it, because thinking, well, obviously they're giving me thorns to prevent me from winning, then now you have to deal with those thorns yourself. So it's all about balancing which types of cards do you want to give people and what do you think they're going to do. Are they going to accept it because they trust you? Or are they going to accept it because they think that you think that they don't trust you? So
right, you can do so many crazy mind games. Like in your example, if I'm offering a card to someone who has a lot of thorns, maybe I know that because they have a lot of thorns, they're going to be careful about taking any risks. So maybe that's when I offer them the 0-5 with 5 flower points on it or something like that, And of course, looking at depending on what my bouquet is too, it really just comes down to that. It's a simple game that's really all just about the playing off the other players.
Yeah, it's one of the things I think at first I was worried that it would just become, well, as soon as one player is in the lead or one player is behind, you're pretty much going to see how the game is going to go. But because it's all dependent on, again, reading each other and seeing the current situation on the table, those things I feel like kind of are self-correcting. That if a player sees, oh, they have a bunch of victory points, then you're probably not going to give them the good cards. Again, unless you think they're going to reject it and you're trying to play games with them. So it usually seems to end up that, depending on your group, most players will at least have a chance. Like they'll probably have a couple tokens and be kind of close to the end. And maybe you'll play it safe and just trade in those 4 pointers and just get a small number each time. Or you really try to play the long game and build up, but then you risk everybody trying to either jump on you and give you bad stuff, or they might just shut you out and not offer you anything. Because you can't just give yourself cards. You're really dependent on other people.
Well, that's where it comes to the mind games. Like, even if, for example, you become the person who has the most hearts, like maybe one or two away from finishing, you're going to have to think, instead of people offering you, you're going to have to, all right, how do I offer this card that I want? Who do I give it to make sure they give it to me? Because maybe they're like, they want to catch up to me, so they can't keep taking everything I have. That also said, if you happen to get a card with high thorn points, I know for me personally, then I'm like, yeah, I'll probably take the card. If I go bust, I go bust. So then you have to worry about that kind of person too, to be like, I can't offer to them that they'll just take it. They want to go bust because they already have so many thorns.
Right. Yeah, there's a point where it's like, yeah, sure, I don't care if you give this back to me. Like, I got nothing to lose anyway. So it's a very, very, very simple game, but there are layers of mind games and psychological strategy that you can employ as things progress, and you start to understand those mechanisms that are not so much in the cards themselves, but all kind of outside in the meta game of the players at the table.
Crits and misses for Rose Ceremony.
Crits. The game is perhaps somewhat deceptive in its simplicity, as the mind games that develop as you play can make things very interesting and create some intrigue between players. There is a kind of built-in balancing mechanism to the game. As things go on, you don't have to worry too much about a runaway leader or falling behind too far, as players will generally end up managing those circumstances for themselves based on what they see.
Games we played tended to have players mostly within range of winning. We at least never had someone who had like 0 points and everyone was ignoring that player, which makes sure you stay engaged. Misses. We mentioned how this game's simplicity is deceptive because of the way the players can have mind games, but that's really the crutch of it, the players. If no one's really trying, then this does just become a simple pass the card to another player and just wait until someone wins.
If all the players at the table aren't really feeling it, or if they just aren't quite grasping the subtleties of the game, it can pretty easily devolve into just something very simplistic, very straightforward, and it might not click with everybody.
This is a light, quick game. This won't be, your main entree to your game night, but overall still pretty fun. I would put it in the sort of same category as Love Letter, a great quick game to have around. It's not going to be that brain burner, but you're still going to have fun playing tricks on people and stuff. And I think that's sort of nice to have a couple of these around, because you do need those sort of in-between games to help lighten the mood. But it's not so much like it's Goldfish, as long as, everyone actually tries at the table.
Yeah, this is definitely a filler game with a capital F. You are really just going to be playing this in-between stuff, or it's perfect for if you're hanging out and waiting for some other player to show up. You can get in a few quick rounds of this. It goes for 3 to 6 players. We didn't get to try it at the higher end, so with a full 6, I don't know, might be even better. You could maybe run into more of those issues that we didn't have, such as a player feeling left out, or at least you're waiting longer for your turn to come around. But I think it would still work pretty well, because it's a very quick game, very, very light. And I think there's just enough meat on the bone for what it is, but it's not trying to be more than that. If you want a simple filler game that is pretty inexpensive, this is one that I think you'll enjoy. And it's super easy to explain. Anybody can play it. It took about 30 seconds for us to explain it, so it should be easy for you at home too.
Yeah, and once again, it's nice to, even though you probably could, but small box. It's not something that takes up, half your shelf line when they try to expand to make sure everyone can see it.
That's right. Yes, it's appropriate. It's appropriately sized. Perhaps not a micro game, but you could put it in a bag or a purse and take it to a restaurant or something maybe and play it on the go. Outdoor dining, of course.
Of course. But let us know if you will accept this game or just give it back. You can let us know in those comments down below if you've had the chance to actually play this, or if you never heard of this before and what your thoughts on that kind of game, any game like this that's still fun, but it's a filler. Once again, comments right down below. Let us know your thoughts on that. We'll probably bring it up in the next time we talk to the Meeple Gallery.
Till then, I'm Jonathan.
I'm Will.
And this was Roll for Crit. Here's an idea. Support our Patreon or like and subscribe to this channel for more.
Subscribing gives you a +2 to your charisma stat.